Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Chris Taylor, advocate for the devil, master wordsmith, always striving to defend the undefendable.
You always were a cunning linguist, James.
Aside from making pop culture references like it's its own language, I spend more hours than an adult should playing video games. And one thing that I've noticed above all else, you guys really hate pre-ordering. Whether it be the idea that things have been cut out just to be given as an early adopter gift that will eventually be sold as DLC later anyways, or the idea of putting money down on what could be the next No Man's Sky debacle makes you shake with rage. Or maybe you just hate the main company that talks incessantly about pre-orders in the first place. Trust me, there are few things more dangerous than a gamer scorned. But here's the thing. There are actually a lot of great benefits to pre-orders, and today, I'm here to shed some light on them. Sample scenario. Nintendo has a new Legend of Zelda coming out for the 3DS, and to coincide with it, they're releasing a super duper brand new one-of-a-kind console. Limited quantities are assured since it's Nintendo. This is a prime example of where pre-ordering is a good thing. You know with 100% certainty that you're going to want to buy it, so why not put your money down? You're guaranteeing yourself what you really want and sparing yourself from having to look for it later on eBay or Amazon when everything is sold out and the price skyrockets to about 1,000% of its actual market value.
Help me, I'm poor.
Speaking of limited quantities, I happen to reside in French Canada, Montreal, Quebec, where certain people would like the English language to only be used in remote, unknown parts of the world. So pretty much everywhere else except here. And because of that, there are even more limitations on what can and cannot be sold here. Atlus is a company with limited resources. Merely translating a game into English takes time to get the localization done properly, and money to pay the guys who do the job in the first place. Sparing time and resources to translate even just the back of the box and the instruction manual most times just isn't in the budget. It's not a smart business move. That's where the pre-order comes into play. And it works twofold. One, it allows these companies to know that there is in fact a market for these types of games, that people are actively searching for them. The companies themselves are more likely to localize more of these titles if people are spending the cash to buy them the first time around. Secondly, and most importantly to people like me, it's a sort of loophole in the Quebec language law. Sometimes the big vendors will only get enough copies to fill out their pre-orders, and then they're gone forever.
Thank you. Goodbye now. Goodbye. Goodbye. Thank you.
They can't display the game on the shelves without the French backing, so most places choose not to carry them at all. However, when a game is pre-ordered, it doesn't get displayed. Instead, it gets stashed somewhere in the back, out of sight, with your name on it, just waiting until launch day when you can pick it up. No violations ensue, and you can rest easy knowing that despite certain people's ignorance on English being a widely used language all across the globe, you can still get the game that you want.
Thank Christ.
You know, all this talk about budgets reminds me of another thing. Being a gamer is expensive. Nowadays, these shiny reflective discs cost upwards of $80 Canadian. Before taxes.
Get real money. Don't know what board game this came from, but it's a joke.
After taxes, it's close to 100. To some, that may not seem like much, but with new games coming out almost every week of the year and food and shelter and clothing being absolute necessities, there's not a whole lot of extra dollars to spare all in one shot to get the latest and greatest. Once again, however, that's the benefit of the pre-order. Not only will it be left on the side, but you don't have to pay for it all at once. For one, most of the big budget titles like Call of Duty and NHL, they come out every year. On top of that, the time they launch is almost the same time every year. The downside to this is that there isn't much difference between one year's version and the next.
I can't believe what I'm seeing. It's like I'm looking in a mirror. Dude, this is hella weird.
The upside is that you're almost guaranteed to know when these games come out, or at the very least an educated guesstimate. The big company that shall remain nameless will already have their release date in their system, so you can go in months in advance and plop down $5 at a time over the course of months. $100? That's a big chunk of change, but $10 or $20 every couple of weeks is a hell of a lot more manageable. And the game in question will be paid off long before it actually comes out. And if you change your mind, well, it is still your money. If you don't want it anymore, you can just put it on something else that catches your eye. Or take it back. Ignore the motivated salesmanship of the guy trying to get you to walk away with something right then and there, and just take that cash in hand. There's virtually no downside. Well, except to have a guy try his hardest to do his job, annoying as that may be for you, the consumer.
This job would be great if it wasn't for the f***ing customers.
And finally, I'd be derelict in my duties if I didn't bring up the bonuses. In this case though, I'm not talking about digital content. That stuff can usually be purchased a few weeks after the game comes out anyways, if not immediately afterwards. No, I'm talking about the extra physical things that get given out just for saying that you want something. It could be a badge for pre-ordering Battlefield, a Stormtrooper figure for pre-ordering a Star Wars game, an extra stylus for the 3DS, a controller skin. Sometimes, not often, but sometimes there's variant steel case game covers. Are these little trinkets gonna change the game in any way? Probably not. But if you're a game collector as well as a player, chances are there are things that you collect as well, and having these items on your shelf is just one of the positive things that these companies do. Occasionally anyways. And while some of these things are sold separately as well, the fact that you didn't have to spend anything extra, only what you were already going to spend on the game you already wanted in the first place? Well, I have a number of these extras in my own home, and knowing me, I'll be procuring quite a few more before my time playing games is over. Despite overwhelming evidence to the contrary, I do hope I managed to shed some positivity to the vile, wretched act of pre-ordering. Whether it's to show support for a company that doesn't necessarily have the resources of a larger AAA company, or it's just to avoid the price gouging of purchasing online. At the end of the day, you are just setting money aside for something you already want.
You know you want it.
And while yes, some of the extras that are offered as a thank you are half-assed, other times you get a one-of-a-kind item for free. Who doesn't like free? All of this done with a money-back guarantee, so long as you aren't pressured into keeping the money in the store. Feel free to let me know in the comments below what you think of pre-ordering, what your own experiences were, or cool little doodad you got for paying for a game early. Hell, you can even try arguing with me. I encourage it, so that I can prove you wrong. But for now, in the case of pre-ordering, the defense rests.